Hello, and welcome to the Joy Chemistry Podcast. I'm Dr. Maria Malater, and I am your host. And today we have our very first guest to the podcast, uh, Noura Almasri. Oh, I'm so sorry, I messed it up. Nora from Nora's Books, and I'll have her pronounce her last name. And I'm just thrilled to have her. She is just super talented, and I'm learning so much from her. And so I would love to have you hear from her. So, Nora, tell me a little bit about you. Tell me about a
Hi,
little bit about you.
oh, sure. Hi, Dr. Maria. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And you said my last name is well, actually. So you got it. So yeah, my name is Noura Almasri, and I'm the founder and CEO of Noura's Books. I started Noura's Books back in 2021. Just right after COVID, like I started a virtual tax and accounting firm. Sometimes people, when they hear Noura's books, they think, do you sell books? Like, no, I don't. It's actually tax and accounting firm. I do also coaching. So this is what we actually do here. Um, I am a tax professional enrolled agent with the Internal Revenue Services. No, I don't work with the IRS actually, but I have an authority after I took 3 exams with the IRS to represent taxpayers, whether they are individuals, nonprofits, or businesses, in front of the IRS administrative offices, not the courts. When someone gets into the courts, then now they need an attorney. But as long as they are with the administrative offices, I can definitely represent them.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, the IRS is scary. So I feel like you're a warm person with expertise that would be happy to help people navigate that journey. So, uh, I know that sometimes you've talked about nonprofits and working with them, and I think you're a leader in that area. So tell me a little bit about your work with nonprofits.
So yeah, nonprofit is actually kind of my passion because after college, I started working, like after I came to the US, I never knew what I like, basically, I was like, I don't know. I don't enjoy my work. I don't feel like anything is meaningful. I just kind of go to work just because I was a single mom and I need to provide for myself and my kids. So that's the reason I went to work, but I never felt like there was anything that meaningful. So I never enjoyed it. And then until 2011, I'm originally from Syria. So back then in 2011, the Arab Spring was rising like in different countries, and it reached Syria in March 2011. And right after, like a couple of months later, the refugees start fleeing the country. And this is when I'm like, I can't focus anymore on doing any of this work. I need to help. And being have to work like full time, like I couldn't really help other than part time, but I was bringing like I have something I can do full time, get paid, and also help people. So this is when I got a job. Actually, I got an offer from one of the large nonprofits organization in Chicago, and I started working with them as a program director for the Middle East. And this is when like I was lightened, like I was really happy to have that job. And and I was like, now I have something I love doing because, you see the effect, right? Like the impact on the people like you're helping, especially when I, travel like to the refugees area. I went to Turkey, I went to Jordan just to work with people directly. And it was really rewarding. It was really amazing feeling. So I love the work with the nonprofits. Later on, I actually worked with so many nonprofits in different capacity. And then few years later, I got tired and really um I was exhausted from working because I was to work 24/7, literally.
Hmm.
Because I was the Middle East director, I was running all the offices in the Middle East, all the operation, and in addition to what's going on here in the office in Chicago. So I was barely sleeping, like I never had deep sleep working there. And I was financially exhausted because most of the nonprofits, they don't pay well. So
Yeah.
they pay, but not well enough to for someone to actually take care of a family and live a good life. So eventually they kick you out because not literally, but I mean because you cannot do it anymore. You have to provide your family and to yourself have a
Yeah.
better life. So I was like, I decided to go back to um, the corporate world, and this is when I started working with Robert Half, and they had a great program back then, just before COVID, where you are their employee, but they lend you to other businesses, kind of,
Hmm.
and you get experience different industry. And I loved that work, but during COVID, they had to discontinue that program because employers were not getting anyone from outside anymore. So this is when I decided, okay, I did some research, a lot of research, and let me just start my own firm because this was the plan before the Arab Spring. This is what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
But since now virtually you can do stuff, it's much easier to start. So I decided to start. And when I started my firm, I ended up like I help businesses. I love working with businesses, and I noticed that the impacts, you don't only have the impact on if you work with nonprofit, also when you help business owners to grow their businesses and to provide for their family, that's a great impact, especially and as the area with um like taxes, like you said, people are afraid to deal with their taxes. So
Right.
yeah, so like to provide this information, to provide the education needed so they can protect their businesses to actually move forward with doing good things with their financials, managing their financials, keep their um um businesses on their feet, that's a great impact too. But I started
Mhm.
working with nonprofit as well. And I have a coaching program for nonprofits with Seven Figure Nonprofit Mastermind. That
Mhm.
is a coaching program. I hold the nonprofit hands for 1 year, 12 months. It's
Yeah.
already like, already done. Like people can get access right away once they join, but
Uh-huh.
I don't leave it there. Like I actually hold their hand to make sure they can implement the strategies and they can grow their nonprofit and grow the capacity, build the capacity, and grow the donor base. So this is
Mhm.
basically I came back to nonprofit, even though like I still help businesses, of course, with accounting, taxes, and everything they need, but also like I work with nonprofit as well.
Wow. That's amazing. And that's really great how it came full circle. You have this ability to use your strengths in the tax and finance area, and then you get to turn it into a passion project. That is just phenomenal. It's
Yeah, thank you.
phenomenal.
And I also have a book, How to
Oh,
Start, Manage,
yes.
and
Tell us.
Prosper with a Nonprofit. I just actually um, published earlier this year, and it's available on Amazon. And this is just can help people actually how to start and manage and prosper with a nonprofit, even if they're already in
Mhm.
the game. It's gonna help them like make sure they are in compliance, and also if they are a good fit to be working as a leader, or do they have to have someone to help them to get there.
Hmm. Hmm. That's great. Well, I know there's so many people that like to say, always wanted to like start a nonprofit and all this. And it seems like you have the tools to help them. So, in so many ways, from the mastermind and the book, that's so exciting. Well, it seems like you're a big educator, and it seems like it's almost part of your leadership style. Tell me about some of the other ways that you educate people.
Yeah, so I have also a master class that's totally free. People can join, and I have it upcoming actually for nonprofits on May 23rd. I think that is May 23rd at 7 p.m. This is actually to just help the nonprofits understand my framework, teach them my impact method. And then if they are interested to come work with me in the mastermind or any other capacity, it's free for them, and not free. It's available for them. I'll show them like how can they work with me one-on-one or in a
Mhm.
group setting. But
Mhm.
this masterclass is totally free. So I do a lot of YouTubes as well, and I have my podcast as well, so just to educate nonprofits and business leaders to actually navigate through the tax law, the accounting world, or any experience that I have and I face and while I'm building my business or helping my clients,
Mhm.
because none of us can have it all. Like we all learn from each other at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So if we share our what we learn, that's gonna help someone else. Like, of course, I learn always from you, and I learn from other business owners, and like, so it's good to learn from each other, because if I'm focusing on taxes and accounting, and of course marketing sometimes, whatever, but I cannot focus on everything. And
Mhm.
same, I if I wanna like make sure I am well, like I'll come work with someone like you or you.
Mhm.
And so we all have to learn from each other. And because sometimes you wouldn't know, like people don't exactly understand what you're doing. Sometimes I had like a couple of clients actually telling me recently, we never know you do bookkeeping, we never know like you actually do tax. If we have a problem with the IRS, like you can help, because they were enrolled in different services. And
Oh,
for
okay.
me, like I was like, well, I think everyone would know, because so what you're doing, you think everyone should know, and you think everyone already actually got it, but they
Mhm.
might not haven't heard you, like when you said something like that, like they paying attention to something. So it's always good to actually always like give people information. I'm a big believer on giving, so like providing value to people so they
Mhm.
understand what would they need, because someone might not know this something like that exists, like you said, like, and when you came to my podcast, like you said actually uh someone can pay to for your services through the FSA account.
Mhm.
People, I'm assuming a lot of people might not know that even. So they don't know what's available to them. Like people don't have time to do all these researches, but when we tell them, when we actually provide this information, they know what's available, what could happen. Because if they don't have a knowledge in a certain area, there's no
Mhm.
way for them to know.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like the type of leader that you are is very relationship oriented, and you think about how it's best to focus in your strengths, and then and it's okay to learn from other people. Is that how I'm hearing it?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. I didn't What else might you say, or what else would like to talk about with your business? Because I've just been so impressed with you and everything that you do. And I keep learning, like, oh, she does this too. It's great, and what would be, I guess what pops in my mind is, what would you say to someone who's just starting a business?
Yeah, so make sure you talk to a tax accountant and to actually a lawyer, even if you're not going to hire them. But before you start, go to these services on how to start a business, because a lot of people, they start a wrong business. And a lot of people actually go, oh, well, I want an S corp just because of some TikTok's video, for people who don't know what they're saying. Or maybe sometimes it's out of context, because how long that TikTok video can be, right? So
Mm-hmm.
connect to tax accountant before, to make sure this is the right thing, and never start as an S corp. Always start with it depends. Like some people, it's better for them to do LLC. Some people C corporation. It depends on the type of the business, and
Mm-hmm.
some people might be a nonprofit make more sense for them. So it depends. So there's no one answer fits all. So
Mm-hmm.
you always want to connect with tax professional, with an attorney in your state, to make sure that you are protected, you know everything you have. So that's the main thing you want to do before you start. And after that, don't consider accounting as a luxury because it's part of the compliance. It's not something like it's nice to have, it's must have. Because if you get actually um, audits from the IRS, if you don't have proper bookkeeping, you're not going to be able to keep your deduction. And actually, you're going to miss a lot of deduction and you
Mhm.
end up paying so much more in taxes trying to
Yeah.
save few hundreds.
Oh, gotcha. No, that's really great. That's really great. So, gosh, I had another question that popped into my head. Well, I definitely want to know, how can we get in touch with you? What's the
Yeah.
best way to reach you?
Sure. So the best way to reach me actually to book a call with me through my website at nourasbooks.com/contact. Anyone can book a time there, like based on their calendar. We jump on Zoom and talk, and I'll ask a few questions to that person, and then we'll see like how can we work together, and we'll see if we are a good fit.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, what would you like to leave for the audience? What are some tips that you've given us a wealth of information. What would be like some final words?
So I would say like never give up. Like if you have a dream, you want to do it, just do it, keep going. You're never gonna fail unless you decided to. As long as you keep going, any failure that seems like a failure, it's not really a failure. It's actually something comes to teach you something, so you become stronger and you're gonna achieve
Mhm.
your goal as long as you keep going.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love all the information that you shared. And again, I'm so inspired by you and what you do and how you're a leader in the community with all the different education that you provide. So, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. And so, um, again, this is the Joy Chemistry Podcast. I'm Dr. Maria Malater. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.